Hi, it's Lisa here from Soul to Soul Yoga. I'm going to make, it's Saturday night, so it's curry night for us, and I'm going to make one of our family favorites, which is paneer, palak paneer, which is spinach and traditionally would be paneer that you would use, and you might have had this in Indian restaurants. But we're going to use tofu because paneer is dairy, so I'm going to make it veganized. So it's a few little stages to do this, but it's absolutely delicious, really nutritious. Hopefully, kids like it too. Cassie likes it. So, first of all, we're going to make the tofu, the crispy tofu. You could just cube your tofu like this. This is firm tofu, and you could just cube it, you could boil it, but I'm gonna actually bake it in spices because it makes it a bit more crispy, gives it a bit more texture, and I actually prefer to eat my tofu like that. But you could just use it as is, not a problem. Now I'm doubling up this recipe because I had two blocks that I have to use up that they're actually coming up to date. So I'm gonna show you, I'm just gonna make cubes. So the block this is I think cauldron brand. So I'm just going to cut it in half like this, and then I'm going to slice. Do you want to have a close up on the sort of how we do it? So we kind of slice it like this, and then when you go this way, you should be able to make fairly even cubes. You know me and my cooking style doesn't have to be too precise. So you're going to pop all that into a bowl. Now I need a spoon. Do I have a spoon? I'll grab one in a minute, a big spoon. I might just use my hands. So I'm gonna, a little bit of salt, a good glug of oil. You could use different spices, but I'm just going to use a mixed curry spice because you'd rather than using lots of different ones, I'm just going to pop a little bit, maybe about a teaspoon or so of Madras curry powder, and about the same, about a teaspoon or so of mild curry powder. So it's just a curry powder mix of different spices. But of course, you can use, let me just go and grab a spoon. You can grab, you can use what you like, coriander, cumin, garam masala, give it a good shake around. You want to get everything coated. This fern tofu, I've already pressed it, so it can be quite watery. If you're going to boil it or just use it in the curry, you don't need to press it. But if you're going to fry it, you're going to want to press it. So basically, drain the water off, pop some kitchen rolls on top and underneath, and then something heavy like this board is what I used. So you could use a tray and then some cookbooks or anything that's, or some bricks, anything that's just going to push down, and you'll see how much water comes out and it makes it much firmer, and then it just crisps up better without the water. So all we're going to do is in the pan. So we're going to make sure that it's all just in one and a little bit of space, um, as much as we can. And then we're going to pop that in a hot oven. So I guess about 220 probably. 220 degrees for about 20-25 minutes, but I'm going to check it, give it a little shake halfway through. So while that goes in the oven, I'm going to make the spinach sauce. And for the spinach sauce, you will need spinach. So we use two lots of tofu, two blocks of tofu there. And so I'm doubling it up. So please, obviously, you can make whatever suits you. But this is spinach. This was a 600-gram bag. And so normally, if you had one block, it would be a 300-gram bag that would use. I've blanched, I've blanched the spinach. Couple of minutes in boiling water. You want to keep it nice and fresh green like this. I guess you could use frozen spinach, but I've used fresh. Doesn't matter. You want to get a bit of the water out, but it doesn't matter because we're going to add water to the sauce. I'm going to use my NutriBullet, but you could just use any blender. It just makes it a little bit faster and a little bit smoother. So I'm going to pop all of that in. In with that goes tomatoes. Hope I haven't got too much for the blender here. So fresh tomatoes, again for the one recipe would be just a couple of tomatoes. I've got four because I've doubled up. A chili. This is just a dried chili that I actually grew this summer, but you can skip the chili or use fresh would be better actually. I'm not put too much in. If you like more chili, I would put it in. But because Cassie's going to eat it, she doesn't like spice, just putting a little bit in there so you can add more fresh chili. 4 cloves of garlic, which would be 2 if you're doing the half recipe, and a good 3-4 centimeters of fresh ginger. This is going to be interesting if it actually works. I might have to do it in 2 batches. Actually, do you know what I'm going to do? I am actually going to take out some of this and do it bit by bit because I think it's going to get stuck. So let's do half and half. And then we can bring it all together at the end. These are cashews. This is a cup of cashews that has been soaking for half an hour in boiling water. And these are just going to make the sauce really creamy and obviously really nutritious as well, lots of protein. So I'm going to put some tomatoes, some of the garlic, and some of the spinach into here. And you want to put some water with it. So this is kind of half a pint, which again would be irrelevant for this amount doubled up recipe. So you can use less. And really it's for the sauce. So if you like it a little bit more saucy, you can put a bit more. If it needs a bit more looseness, you can do that. So let's blitz it up. Did I put salt in? No. You want to put a good half teaspoon of salt in each time. And again, salt to taste really. And then we're going to blitz it. There you go. If you've got a NutriBullet, they're brilliant. They're really great for smoothies. And you can see already, you've got this beautiful green sauce. So I'm going to do, while the tofu is cooking and crisping up, it should go nice and crispy, I'm going to continue to make the rest of my spinach sauce, and then we'll carry on with the spicing and putting it all together. So it's time now to make the masala sauce. We've made look, you can see, we've got quite a lot of the spinach sauce. It's really delicious. I could actually just eat it with a piece of bread. We're going to make the masala now, and the tofu is still baking in the oven. So without further ado, thank you, Cassie, we're going to heat up a pan, a decent sized pan, and you want to pop some oil in, just a teaspoon or a tablespoon or whatever, just enough. Okay, and then we're going to start with cumin. So we're going to pop about a teaspoon of cumin in for this one recipe. Because I've doubled up, I'm going to put a couple of teaspoons in. So straight away you can see that sizzling away. And then from there we're going to just, you don't want the spices, the whole spices when you're cooking Indian food, to burn. But you do want them to start to release some of their fragrance. So you should pretty quickly, you can smell them, can't you? It smells really nice. And then we're going to pop it in. This is 2 onions. As I said, this is double the batch. 2 onions, and I want them chopped, not completely mushed like I have in other curries. And that's 6 cloves of garlic. So a lot of garlic. And then do half, yeah. 1 onion and 3 or 4 cloves of garlic would be perfect. But we're going to let that cook down for a few minutes, probably about 5 minutes or so. And the reason I've chopped quite roughly these onions, often with curries I'll mash them all up in the liquidizer. The reason is because the spinach sauce is so creamy and it's really smooth, so you do want some texture in there. You're going to also get texture from the tofu. Okay, so we're going to leave that to cook for a few minutes and then we'll come back to it. So we're going to leave it to cook for 5 minutes or so on a low heat.
Yeah.
So we've had the onions in, well, I put them in the oven, but you could have just simmered them on a low heat, 5 or 6 minutes, just until they're kind of like softening down. The garlic has lost that intensity. And now we're going to add our dry spices. So turmeric, this is so anti-inflammatory. This is that colour that we have. Not a huge amount of taste, but going to put a good teaspoon or so turmeric in. I'm going to pop coriander in. How much is left in this packet? Let's have a look. Probably just about enough. Probably a bit more than that. I've got a new packet here. So we want probably, for me, obviously I'm doing a bigger batch, so I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of coriander in, ground coriander, but you might just put 1 in. You could use a mixed spice blend, that's no problem. I'm going to also put in some methy fenugreek seeds. Maybe should have put this in with the seeds, but the only reason is because actually this recipe calls for methy or fenugreek leaves, which you can buy in any supermarket, I think. Definitely in the Asian supermarkets, that's where I usually get boxes, but I haven't got any left. So I'm just going to add that in now. And again, it's optional, you know, with all these spices. Probably the main ones you want to make sure you've got in are the cumin, coriander, turmeric, a bit of chilli if you like heat, the garlic, ginger. You know, apart from that, it's all kind of personal taste. So we're going to fry those spices off a little bit now. I'm actually also going to add some garam masala, but I won't add that until after I've fried these spices, because garam masala is it's kind of one that you add at the end generally, but it's just a spice mix. I mean, it's got, oh, smell that, Cass. Oh, cinnamon, cloves, probably got in a few other things as well. So I'm going to put a good teaspoon or 2 for me, because I've got my big batch, into the pot. Okay, and then just give it a quick stir. I don't want that really to cook too much. Now we're going to add our green spinach sauce. So there is a lot of spinach sauce here. So I'm going to pour it in and stir it up. You know what? It looks really good, doesn't it, Cass? We're going to have this for tea tonight. So, you know what? I'm not sure I'm going to add all of this spinach sauce, because I think it might be a bit too much for the tofu. So I think that's probably enough. And the thing is, with all of these things, especially this, you wouldn't be able to freeze the tofu, but I'd be able to freeze this sauce. So what I'll probably do is make a smaller amount, and then I'll pop that as a portion that I can just pull out of the freezer and make a quick curry when I'm short on time. So never waste anything. You see, this is plopping around. So you want to get this warm, and you want to make sure that you're stirring all the aromatic spices round. So now we're going to just let this bubble away, again on a low heat, for at least 5-10 minutes. So we'll just leave it to heat, and so it all blends together and gets nice and warm. So it's been bubbling away here for about 5 to 10 minutes. You just want to warm it all through, bring all the flavours together, and that will cook some of those raw elements. So obviously the spinach was cooked, but the ginger and the garlic and the tomatoes and everything that were in that spinach sauce were raw, but that's actually what gives it a really, really pungent flavour. So it's quite a pokey dish, even though it seems quite simple. So we're going to put it all together now. So, camera person, coming over here. So, and as you can see, I've got some of my green sauce. If you look at the colours, so this is the green spinach sauce that didn't have the masala, the spices, and this is after it's been cooked. So it's gone a little bit browny. Does it? Oh, well, it is a little bit different. So I'm just going to plate up now. So I'm not going to use a different spoon, because so this is just some brown basmati rice, which I've cooked. You could use any rice, you don't have to have rice at all. And I'm going to make a bit. I'm actually quite hungry, so I'm going to have a little bit in there. And then I'm going to spoon on the spinach sauce. Now, if you were just having normal tofu, if you didn't bake it, then that would be in there, and that would be as it was. But I'm actually going to put the tofu, so I'm just going to get a handful of the tofu and sprinkle it on top. I'm actually going to just stir it a little bit in. So this tofu is really crunchy. And it's really tasty. It's tasty, Cass? Yes. Yeah, and is the sauce tasty? Yeah. Well, you don't know yet, you haven't had it. But you haven't resisted a tofu. So I want to eat it fairly quickly because obviously that tofu is going to go a little bit soft. So that's why I've left it to the last minute. I'm actually also going to pop a little bit of, Cash, would you pass me a spoon? Just any spoon. Okay, thank you. And I'm going to pop a little bit of yogurt on. Traditionally, Palak Paneer would be used cream. You'd have cream on it, and cream in it and butter, and it'd be really creamy with dairy. But I don't eat dairy, so a vegan version. This is plain cocoa, so it's a coconut yogurt, which is really delicious. You could use creme fraiche or anything like that, just to kind of bring that creaminess. And then we can sprinkle with a little bit of coriander. If you have fenugreek seeds, then, fenugreek leaves, then you could use those. And I'm going to make myself a flatbread as well. I'm going to heat one up. I'm not making it to go with it. So there you have it. Palak Paneer, which is but veganized. So it's made with tofu, baked tofu in this time, with spinach sauce, really spicy aromatics, and served with some rice. And I hope you enjoy.